Welcome to the Freedom Files, the home of free thinking and free living, where Simone and I explore subjects which liberate the sovereign human being and empower those that are searching for solutions to walk away from the matrix. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify and Google Play, and we live stream on YouTube and in our Facebook group with our thriving community. Our promise to you is to bring you some of the best pioneering guests who share their big ideas, projects and solutions for living in the modern world today. So please subscribe, and if you like what you hear, please share this with your curious and truth-loving friends. Now onto the show. We are live, so this is episode 14 of the Freedom Files with our very special guest Ken Calder. Welcome to the podcast, Ken. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all, thank you very much. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure. You're very welcome. Why don't you introduce the subject tonight, and then we'll go back a bit and learn a bit more about you.
Okay, I'll do that right now. So this evening what we're going to talk about is electrosmog. We'll define what it is and talk about its effects on our health and the effects on the environment as well, because we're talking about everything in nature. We're talking about men, animals, trees, plants and everything. Okay. So we'll define that as we go through the presentation.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Ken. I actually wanted to bring you on because I think it's really important for people to understand it's not just 5G. It's actually a whole range of electromagnetification and the frequencies that are all toxic and all have an impact on us. And I think we need to have balance when we're talking about EMF and, all these toxic frequencies that are inevitably going to be in our lives day to day, even using our laptops, our smartphones. And you actually bring quite a comprehensive understanding of the different rays, the different sources of that. And I think it's important for our audience and people out there to not just focus so narrowly on the 5G. Yes, it's a massive weapon. And yes, it is being rolled out for many different reasons, untested, unregulated. But actually, we've got to look at the whole picture, which is something that Lena Poo does, who we had on the show and the other week. But you're going to take us through your presentation just to demonstrate what it is when you talk about electrosmog and how it affects our health. So thank you, Ken. Really, really great.
Absolutely, no problem at all. So if we can start now, can we?
Okay, yeah, if you like, let's go for it.
If you look at the screen in front of you, if we can come back to the first thing, we see the title, If You Don't Protect Your Body, Where Will You Live? Let's face it, that is the only thing you carry with you. You move house, you've always got your body with you. And the subject is electrosmog and its effects on our health. Like I said, my name is Ken Calder. You can actually send if you want information, you can send to info@lives-enrich.com. So if we can go to the next slide. Okay. One thing that is very important that we need to understand is the massive influence of the digital age, and that's where our problems are coming from electrosmog. Because we are a collection of cells which are maintained by an electromagnetic field. We need to understand there are multiple types of electromagnetic fields, and some of them are positive for us. It's the ones that are man-made that we need to be careful about. You will also see on the screen that there's a frequency that's written there, 7.83 hertz. For anyone who hasn't heard about this, we call that the Schumann frequency. What is it? It's simply a frequency that was used since time for nature to communicate. That is nature's communicating frequency, 7.83 hertz, which means 7.83 cycles in a second. That's pretty low according to what we have these days. So we'll address that. Just keep that in mind as we go through this presentation. If we can go to the next one. Now, we still haven't defined electrosmog yet, but know this, there are 4 types of electromagnetic fields that cause electrosmog. And these are AC magnetic fields, and you can see underneath, it talks about electrical wiring errors in your home. And if you're located near to a major power line, that's another problem that brings in magnetic. You got AC electrical, and that comes from unshielded electrical wiring or bedrooms with high electrical fields. By the way, we can talk about things like this here. Often people move into a flat. They see a lovely wall and they put the bed head against that wall. The problem is you don't know what's behind that wall or what the neighbor has in there. It could be a kitchen. It could have a fridge, an old fridge that's actually emanating electrical field 24/7. And sometimes we wonder why we can't sleep at night. Okay, we'll come back to that.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've also got radio frequency, that's RF. Sorry, if we can come back to this last one. Radio frequency, this emanates from our Wi-Fi that we love so much. And then we get poor quality of sleep, tinnitus. These are some of the symptoms that we have there. We'll come back to the symptoms as well. And the 4th one is dirty electricity. We don't measure, if you look on the right-hand side, you see there's a meter. That's the meter I use. It's a semi-professional meter. And it will measure 3 fields, AC magnetic, electrical, and the radio frequency. But it will not measure dirty electricity. Dirty electricity, there are specialists called building biologists. They can actually come into your house. They can look at everything that's happening there, look at every single thing, and they'll be able to determine if there's dirty electricity. They can determine the other 3 as well, of course, because they'll use a meter. Okay? And an example of dirty electricity is from solar inverters. Your solar inverters, when you get your solar panels, you have to have something that actually puts that panel to get the electricity in, and that's a big source of that. Okay. Smart meters is another one. Yeah?
Okay.
And so we're talking about the frequencies that are added to your 50 hertz. Remember, in your house, we've got 50 hertz. That's what our electricity gives us. Okay? Okay. Now, electrosmog is often completely misunderstood, and people take it as a measure. They say, oh, it's so many microteslas. That's a measure of what's happening. But what is electrosmog? Electrosmog comes from any source of electricity that's created by man. Digital source. If you look at the top diagram, it's got a sinusoid wave. It's smooth up, smooth down, and it goes through. Nature works in sinusoid. But we've come along and we've decided that we create something that's really good. That's square waves, rectangular waves, sawtooth waves, and so on. And those are the big sources of electrosmog. It creates something that's anti-nature. It goes against the body, not just the body, against the trees, against the animals, and so on and so forth. So anything that man has created as far as these waves are concerned creates a problem. Okay. Okay? So nature always produces sinusoid waves. If we can go to the next one. Now, what is important, we need to know about the sources and the symptoms of electrosmog. So if you can go to this, we'll see what the sources are. Here we go. Notice these last few months, or maybe a year or so, even 2 years, we've been talking about 5G. Everyone's heard about 5G. They're saying, oh, 5G is doing it, 5G is doing this. And no one's actually been educated on what's been happening before then. If you look at the sources of electrosmog, you will see 5G, that's coming, they're testing and so on, but it's not even fully there yet. Yet there are people suffering from the evils of electrosmog, if you see what I mean. One thing we need to understand is this. 150 years ago, we had no electrosmog, around 150 years ago. But then we had no electricity. So that gives you an idea of where it's coming from. And now, from years ago when we had electricity, we had 50 hertz, which is what we work with. In America, it's 60 hertz. And now we've gone to 2.5 gigahertz. We talk about 4G here. And in 30 plus years, we've actually increased the number of hertz by 50 million. 50 million times, man-made, and that's hitting our bodies every day. One of the things we need to understand is that it's not so much and we often talk about power, it's actually the pulsing of all these waves that are actually hitting our cells and putting them out of balance. It's knocking them completely out of balance. Okay? The diagrams that you see here actually represents all the sources of electrosmog. Your TV, or your speakers, anything electrical. Look at the bottom here. There's one that's rather disturbing because no one's told us about this. You see at the bottom, we have this baby phone. New parents, they're so happy. They want to make sure their children are okay in the cot, and they put it in the cot next to the baby. They have an antenna and they listen to what's happening. And what we'll see later is that children are the most at risk. We need to protect those children, and yet we're bringing these things into them, and we'll see why in a bit.
For the benefit of those on audio, can we just quickly read them out?
Okay, let me read what we've got. We've got high voltage lines and relay antennas. You can see the diagrams here. You've seen them outside in some cases. You see we've got 5G. I'll go from the right-hand side, that yellow-green instrument is actually a smart meter. That is particularly toxic, by the way. The one you see there is actually the French one. It's called a Linky. That's a big source of that.
Okay.
Computers, tablets, TVs, speakers, remote controls, smartphones, all those are sources. Cars, trains, and planes. It's important to note that cars, trains, and planes are actually like Faraday cages. By that, I mean everything that's in them, they're not coming out. They're staying in there, they're just bombarding you with all this thing all the time. That's why we're so tired when we're driving. That's why we're so tired when we're flying as well. Besides the jet lag, we've got that, yeah? Then we've got satellites. And by the way, a lot of satellites have been launched. We're going to become very active pretty soon. So it doesn't matter what corner of the earth you're on, you will start getting this. So some people have escaped from cities that they love because they can't take it anymore because they're particularly sensitive. And they're going to find that escape is going to be nothing when 5G gets going. The baby phones, like I said, we've got electrical appliances, switches, everything electrical. You'll see in induction plates or microwave ovens. Oh, by the way, microwave ovens and mobile phones use exactly the same technology. The difference is a question of power. It's just the microwave oven, it can boil water in very little time. The phones will not do that, but it's the same technology. Computer networks, Wi-Fi, all of those, these are sources of electrosmog. Okay? Look at the people in the middle, they're getting that ray, it's hitting you everywhere. And just to let you know, we'll talk about how we can actually shield from it, but as soon as you get out from outside of your house, you're not protected anymore, you're actually bathing in it as you walk along.
Great.
So if you can go to the next one, absolutely. Now, what is 5G? It's just a little thing on the 5G. 5G is just simply a continuation of what we've been doing with communications from mobile phones. We went from 2G in about 1991, and we had SMS. And look at the speeds. We were working in megabits per second, not even a megabit per second. We then went on to, as an evolution, to 3G in 1998. We had SMS and internet, and the speed went up. But the big thing came actually with 4G, where we had SMS, internet, we kept that. Then we had video, and now we've got a bigger speed. We're looking at 15 megabits per second, things like that, and even more. And a lot of the problems have happened, well, even before that, but during the 4G era. Now, We're talking about 2020, but obviously things have started to be tested and so on. We got 5G. With 5G, and that's very important, we've had it high definition video. We've still kept SMS and internet. And we're talking about the Internet of Things. 5G is not the Internet of Things, but 5G will allow the Internet of Things. It's 5G along with IP version 6. It gives you a very large possibility of addressing many things on the earth. There's a joke that we techies used to make and say, every single grain of sand on the earth will be able to have 6 IP addresses because of version 6. And with 5G, we can actually spread things very fast. Obviously, it's not true. It's just to give you an idea of how many things we can address.
I used to work in Orange at 2004, and they had a prototype house, and they called it the Internet of Things then.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's been around for 16 years, as far as I can tell, with telecoms companies.
It started some time ago. That's it. And if you go to Ideal Home exhibitions, they start talking about smart homes.
Yeah.
So they've put lots of things in there. Can you imagine a smart home, the amount of electro-smog that's actually hitting it there? But it needs to be addressed. And that's what we're doing today.
Okay. Next slide.
Now, and this is important, what are the symptoms of EMF exposure? If you look at this, you see EMF affects your body and nervous systems and function, can cause damage to cells. Not can, it causes damage to cells. Some people it takes over time. Some people are hypersensitive. In fact, I would say that hypersensitive people are actually like the canary in the coal mine. They catch things quicker and they can actually get out of the way. Whereas some of us, we say, no, we're fine. And it's when it hits us, we actually start to realize what's been happening to us.
Mine, they're a couple. They're from Glastonbury, Simon and Lisa. Great people. Yeah. Very sensitive. Came up to Bristol, had a drink in a pub with lots of Wi-Fi connections everywhere, and they just felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yes. So we got things like sleep disturbances, insomnia and all that, headaches, depression and depressive symptoms, tiredness and fatigue. Often we wonder, why are we so tired? Why is it that we wake up tired and yet we've slept? Our sleep is not so good. Why? What's on? Dysesthesia, which is a painful, often itchy sensation. That's common. Lack of concentration and brain fog, which is a big thing. A lot of people find they have to look at something 6, 7, 8 times to really understand it, when before some of them could do it in one. Okay. Another one, erectile dysfunction. Some people are probably thinking, why can't I keep up with my wife, my girlfriend, and so on and so forth? And this could be a cause. A pill, you might take a pill and so on, it probably doesn't do it, and then you have to take more and so on. When all you have to do, well, not all, it could be that, take a look at it. Okay? Dizziness, irritability, the loss of appetite, weight loss, and so on and so forth. And nausea. And the list goes on. This isn't all in there. If you look at the last one, it says a change in the electroencephalogram. And the electroencephalogram, or EEG, actually measures brain activity. So it changes in that. It can give you a good view of what's happening in your head, in the brain. While I'm at it, I might as well do it now. You often hear people talking about EMFs. They actually open the brain-blood barrier. Actually, EMF, the brain-blood barrier, it's blood cells within the brain which actually protect the brain from getting toxic information. It's very selective. It will let certain things through into the brain and keep things out. Now, EMF actually renders, it makes it porous. It makes it porous, which means that you can get the toxins in. Just to give you an idea, there was someone called Alan Frey, Allan Frey, who was a researcher in the US Navy, and he actually proved that because what he did was he injected mice with a traceable dye. He injected that into the veins. First of all, he looked at it. That wasn't getting into the brain. He subjected these mice to EMF, and they found the ink, the traceable dye in the brain. And he proved that. And 20 years later, there's someone who's called Leif Solford, a Swedish guy who did the same thing. They didn't know each other, but 20 years later, they've proved that other people have done that.
And there's a perfect storm mentioned by another scientist who said, with chemicals coming from the skies, we have a perfect storm here where we're potentially opening up ourselves to toxins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay?
Okay, thanks for that.
Here we go for that.
Next slide. Here we go.
Yeah. Now, there's a question that comes here is, who are we actually risking? Because that is important. Who is it who's most at risk? We can go on to the next slide.
Okay, sorry, 1 second. Here we go.
If you look at that diagram here, we'll see 2 children and an adult. We have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, and an adult. And they've all got the phone next to their ears. Incidentally, we need to understand that the manufacturers of phones actually write in the books that you shouldn't have the phones next to your body. No one reads anything these days, but they tell you shouldn't have the phone next to your body. There's a reason for it. Now, if you look at the diagrams, look at the top, you'll see that's their brain, their heads. You find the 5-year-old is most at risk, more at risk than the 10-year-old, but they're both at risk, and the adult. So the adult is also at risk. Now, if you look at the 5-year-old, you'll find that with the phone there, you would actually attack him through his ears, eyes, and through his brain. That yellow you see there isn't good. That's heat. Yeah. The 10-year-old has it a bit less, and the adult has it less, but it still affects the adults. So look who's most at risk: the children. But that's not all, because the children they're just learning about their environment. They don't know it all. They're learning, and they're being bombarded by this. The systems are beginning to learn about their surroundings. Also, you see the middle point that says myelination has not yet taken place. What is myelin? There's a thing called myelin, and it protects the neurons in your body. And it's not being built yet. You can look at myelin. We can talk about myelin sheath and so on with people with MS. You look at myelin as the protection you've got in the electrical cable. It's there to protect things going in. Now, what we need to understand is that children, we don't get myelinated until about 21, around that age. So the children are particularly at risk. First of all, their skull is not as thick as ours. And so it's always getting into their heads, and it creates a lot of damage. Okay? And that's it.
I'm also aware that it's not just mobile phones. You know, we have these devices now that sit on our laps, like iPads and laptops.
Absolutely.
And what I see a lot of is parents giving their children laptops or iPads, and they're sitting playing these games with these devices on their laps, next to their genitals, next to their reproductory systems, and people have no idea that they are damaging. They're becoming sterilized by that bombardment of EMF to those very, very precious and vulnerable places on a small child who has a smaller body and therefore can be so more impacted by this than people are even
absolutely
willing to consider.
Absolutely. And
we'll
look at that in a bit, actually. We'll see what we're doing with that. And that's very important, what she's just said, because a lot of people are actually, they're infertile. They become infertile. They don't know why.
Really?
They don't know why.
Interesting.
So here we go. Also, who are we risking? And we need to ask these questions. How are we using our mobile phones? And where are we storing them?
Yeah.
If you look at the diagram to the right, that's the one I'm going to deal with now. You look at the phone next to the brain. We've just seen that picture just a while. By the way, the last image that we showed was actually done by someone called Oms Gandhi. Oms Gandhi used to do research for Motorola. Then he came up with that diagram. And just as a matter of interest, once he came out with that diagram and explained it, he had no more funding. Just to let you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a little bit of a whistle blow myself. When I worked at Orange, I had to do an hourly conference call, a weekly conference call, which lasted an hour. No headset was available. I was a new starter, and my brain was really cooking after an hour. And I escalated to my boss. I said, I must have a headset, please. My brain is cooking. Do these things cook you? And he said, we can't talk about that, Robin.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
And it's so sad. So
Yeah.
sad. All we need, most of the times, what we need is education as to what's happening. That's it. Now, if you look at this person here, we've seen the brain, we've seen next to the heart and so on. It's affecting your body. But if you look at the reproductive organs, a lot of people carry their phones in their pockets, even the back pocket. It doesn't matter where you put it around there. And it actually affects your reproductive organs. Now, we can make the distinction between women and men, because as far as men are concerned, if you stop doing that for about 40 days, you'll get the sperm count will come back and so on and so forth. It could still be damaged because it does damage your DNA, but at least the sperm count will come back. But when it's girls, women, they're born with all their eggs. And because they're born with all their eggs, if they're damaged, they're not getting it back. This is not a place to store phones. Okay.
It's a serious matter, actually. And if you add the EMF in with vaccines and all these other agendas that are being pushed, the main purpose is to depopulate. So there's two-pronged approach. Not only is it the genocide of the elderly or the pharmaceutical drugs, the synthetic drugs that kill you, but it's also getting them young with the reproductive. If we can stop them, if we can make them sterile from young, then we're not going to have issues of population later on. That is a major point in the UN agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals and the depopulation. Yeah.
Okay. And that's like why you said that. There's something that's important. Sometimes there are pregnant women who are laying down, who've got their phones on their bellies just before having a baby. And that's the worst point, because the head's in front of right in front, ready to be born. So they're damaging them. And like I said, infertility has risen. There you go. Okay, we can go to the next one. This is actually a diagram I borrowed from the Environmental Health Trust, which is actually formed by Deborah Davis. Now, if you don't know that name, that's someone you need to look up. She's a very good ambassador for ESmog and talking about she's talking about it for ages. And she's even taken on the FCC right now. That's to do with 5G. But just to show you when this happened, look at the date. It says the 13th of the 12th, 2012. We weren't talking about 5G then. And if you look at what's happened, this is someone who actually wore a phone in a bra every day for a number of years and drove around with it from place to place. What we need to understand is mobile phones, they need to have the strongest signal possible. So if you have to have the strongest signal, every time it gets to a different tower, it will start working. And when the signals, if you got one bar on your phone, it will start pulsing even more because it needs to have a strong signal. That's when they're more dangerous. And she was driving around with that. And look at her, look at the red here. You see it's like in the form of a phone. See that?
Yeah, we can see that.
She's still alive, by the way. She's still alive. She's now an ambassador for that. But she had, and she was 21. 21 when that happened.
Is that all? Goodness me.
That's it. Now we need to talk about how can we protect ourselves. So we look at that and see what we can do. I've just got one diagram and I'll show you that from that. I took one diagram and I said, okay, this is what we can do with what we've got. We've got our mobile phones, we've got our computer laptops, we've got our computer screens, and so on and so forth. By the way, the screens also have an issue. That's blue light. The blue light that you get from the screen, it can actually affect your circadian rhythm, where you can actually go between sleep and wake, and that messes people up and they can't get to sleep properly. Yeah. Another thing that people do is they go to bed and they keep the mobile phones or their laptops on them. By the way, a laptop on you as well, that is a problem. Okay. Now, if you look at the laptop and the computers, what you can, yes?
May I just ask, you said laptops are dangerous on you or are not advised to be on you, but what if you've got it plugged into Ethernet? What if you haven't got the Wi-Fi going?
Even if you have it plugged into, Ethernet and you've got it on your lap, it's still a problem. So what's important here is, and now you've spoken about something you said, but what if it's plugged into Ethernet? That's fine. You get a cable, you plug it into the Ethernet, but you must remember to switch off the Wi-Fi on the laptop. Some people don't. Or if you plug it into the router, you must actually go into the router and switch off the Wi-Fi. Otherwise, you have a problem. Okay? Is that all right? Yeah? Now, something else you've got is for the blue light, you can actually get filters. You get screen filters or glasses. The glasses, filter glasses for that. As for the router, switch it off at night, especially at night. It's still affecting you during the day, but switch it off at night so you can, when you're sleeping, this is the time when you repair everything. At least you don't want anything hitting you while you repair. Smart meters, there are shields you can put on smart meters. Okay, you can put on that. For microwave ovens, keep away from it when it's going because they often leak. So you've got power and frequency going for it. Your TV screens, again, you just put you can put screens on it and so on and so forth, and keep far away from it. House alarms, everything that is electrical in your house is actually affecting you. Okay, and keep it. Look, your mobile phone, use air tube headphones. By the way, the air tube headphones, it's got the electronics, but just from going out from the part of the electronics to your head, it's tubes, and that's where you get the sound. So it doesn't actually send anything electrical into your brain. And that's recommended by a lot of people. Building biologists will tell you about that. Yeah.
What's recommended?
Air tube headphones.
Where do you purchase those? Are they?
You should be able to get it on any shop you buy, any online shop you buy. There are some places that do, specialist places. I can send you that information afterwards. But otherwise, go online and you look for air tube headphones.
It's not the same as the Apple ones that people put in their ears with no wires.
Oh no! These are electrical. The ones you're talking about, and you're thinking about the earpods.
Yeah. That's what people walk around with.
No. They're actually like your normal headphones you have. The only thing is, instead of a cable going to your head, there's a tube with air in it, and that's what it shows in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me just quickly share screen with you. They look like that, Simone.
There you go.
Brilliant.
You get them on eBay.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's important for anyone who hasn't got any protection at the moment and they're at home. Use that. It helps. It drops down the amount of electrosmog you have. Okay.
Okay.
Right. And some parts you can't even do anything about it, because if you look at the cell tower, it says, oh, keep at distance. If you're around your house, you can't do much. It's the authorities to do that. And some of these things, they must have an earth path. And it's very difficult these days because a lot of trees have been chopped down and they don't have the roots to send stuff down. So we have a big problem in lots of ways.
Although there are solutions that I've seen, like paint. There's certain paint that you can paint your walls with, which will protect you against EMF, or there's certain other things you can do to your house to protect any external frequencies.
Absolutely. There are curtains and there are things like that you can put on. In fact, the building biologists, good. That's a good profession, that is. The building biologists, when they come into a house, they can detect where the problems are coming from. They can actually suggest even paints with it. You can get paints that you put on the wall. For instance, the example I gave with someone who put a bed next to the wall, if that was coming in and detected it, you could actually put paint in it that would shield you from that coming through. Yes, absolutely. Okay. That's another solution. We can go on to the next thing now. So now I've told you how you can actually shield. So let's go on to now we talk about now let's break the rules. I've just given a few rules to do that.
That's my favorite part, Ken. I love breaking rules.
We can go back and we break the rules. I represent a company called, I like the way she says that. I work for a company that's called I Like Metaphysic. This is a Swiss company where there's a Dr. Alfred Gruber. After years of research in quantum physics, traditional Chinese medicine, and bioresonance, they have been able to get what you call a point of convergence, if you like, and they've been able to create some very, very earth-shattering solutions for this. Okay, so now we're going to be using programmable converters, and in order to vitalize radiation, but we'll see how we do that. So we transform ESmog into vibration.
Sorry.
So what we do is we look at, no, this is fine. So what
Okay.
we do is you take the martial arts attitude. So if someone's coming at you, the idea is you parry, so you get it away, and now you're actually going to make that force interesting for you. And this is how we work. If you look at that diagram here right now, that picture here, you'll see 5G written. In fact, we've evolved from the 5G converter. You'll see the converter that we use now. It's gotten even better. We have a room converter. We actually protect people even from the very personal all the way up to industrial, where we can protect an office, a house, even theaters and so on, if you want to protect it, and we'll tell you about this. We even deal with water, with frequencies and so on and so forth. Okay.
Interesting.
So let's move on to the next one, and we'll talk about what we have. So you talk about frequency converters, regulators. Now this is our technology here. How it works is, if you press the next one, we have a frequency that comes in and it contains toxic information. Let's reason as information that's hitting your body. Everything is information, yeah, that hits your body. Now, a frequency comes in, it contains toxic information. We send in a counter frequency, same amplitude, but reverse in polarity. And the next one, please. And what we get is, we put it down to 0. Okay, so we knock that down. Once we've done that, we are now getting rid of this toxic information, and we now create, this is what this technology, it now creates a field of protection. For instance, for the mobile phone, it will create a radius of 1.5 meters. So from the phone up to 1.5 meters, anyone within there, if we're using our technology, is protected from electrosmog. So it creates, the important thing is to know that it creates a diameter of 3 meters. So anyone, both sides of the phone itself, they're protected. So if you have one of these phones with one of these, a converter on it, if you're holding someone, that person is protected. If you're holding someone else on the other side, they're protected. It's up to 1.5 meters, each side a 3 meter diameter. And that's not just to the side, it's up, down, across, and so on. It's spherical. Okay, so the idea is a frequency comes in containing toxic information. We have these systems that are programmed with the toxic information in those converters, and it knows when to put the opposite thing through. Okay, and then it gets to 0. But not just that, we go another step further. Our bodies actually give out information about what's happening, what we call photons. It's light. So it's biophotons that come out. And what we do is we reflect those biophotons, increase the good frequency, if you like, the good information, and put it back to us. So we don't just stop electrosmog, we vitalize it. So it sends back into your body, it sends back those frequency, that information back to your body, increased. So it vitalizes it.
Nice.
Okay, we talk about vitalization with our technology.
Next
okay,
slide.
We can go to the next slide. I don't know if everyone can see that so well, but remember I spoke to you about the electroencephalogram? This is what we have. When one of our things were tested here, this was way back, it was the very first one we had, it was called the E-chip. If you look to the left-hand side of this diagram here, you'll see when this person has no protection at all and they're actually exposed to electrosmog. And on the right, that's just 20 minutes later when this was tested. 20 minutes later, you see the difference. If you look at the electroencephalogram at the top, you see it's all over the shop. You see these little peaks that come up, but it comes around like that. And on the right-hand side, you see it's more or less stable. And this is what it does for you. But
just to be clear, this is showing the effects on a person before they've used your technology that you're presenting today, and then after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a before and after. If you look at this as well, One of the best things that you look at, you know what you've got in the red and blue on both sides? If you can point to those, you've got the red and blue diagram here in the middle. Yeah, it's just, no, up a bit, and to the right, and just down, that's it. You've got that one side and you got the other side. What it shows is this. On the side where they're actually been affected by electrosmog, it tells you how much information they can actually absorb and retain. And on the right-hand side, you've got it, it's not so large, it's larger. It shows that you can actually absorb and retain more. Remember what we gave you the symptoms of brain fog and that sort of thing? This is what it does. And this is just a diagram that shows you what happens in 20 minutes. Also look at the brain on both sides. There's one, it's red, yeah, red and green here. The green's fine, but the red is bad. On the other side, it's all good. Okay? Okay, and that is what happens here. The rest I'm not going to read, but I've got another diagram that will show you a lot better than that. Okay? So what we're saying is the latest methods in measurement in the medical domain, we're talking about bioresonance. This is what we're talking about, reflecting the biophotons and giving the good information into here. Allows to verify toxic frequencies and ESmog directly on our bodies. We don't stop the phone from working. We just stop it. We just stop the toxic information it's bringing in, create a field of protection, and then we boost through bioresonance. We boost that signal so that the body is actually vitalized.
Awesome.
Okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, we can go to the next one. Just to show you how we measure it, because you can't, you know, often that meter I showed you, I would normally measure it, you get a sound and so on and so forth. If you put it next to the body, you'll get the sound because the thing is still going on. You have to measure that effect on the body itself. Okay, this is a thing that was actually created in the University of Omsk in Russia. That's one of the top people for frequencies and that. You know, the Russian and the Germans are way beyond us for frequency reading and so on. So it's used, use the right equipment. This is what I'm saying. This is called the Dynamica 72. So it does an analysis of the whole body. You can put your hand on those two sides and it takes signals from your body, reads it and represents it in a graphic format. Okay. So it takes the state of our autonomous system, state of endocrine system. That's a list of what we actually do with that. It also does what you call HRV, or heart rate variability. Often we measure our heartbeat, and people think, oh, we've had 60 beats in a minute, so it means that my heart is beating at 1 beat per second. Not necessarily, because sometimes it goes beat, 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 and so on. It's not necessarily 1 beat per second, because your heart actually adapts. You adapt the heart rate according to what's happening in the body. Okay, but this thing can actually measure the heart rate variability, and it can also tell you if you're fit to do things. High-level sports people use heart rate variability meters, not this, but heart rate variability instruments, and they can actually set training programs for their athletes and decide, oh, we mustn't push this one too much today. We can push this one as far as possible, because it gives them a reading as to how their body is actually reacting. And this is what we do. Okay, we can go to the next one. This is just to give you an idea of what's happened to someone. A 62-year-old woman was affected by a smart meter, and she had the first measurement at 1438 with no protection. The second one at 1533, it's more or less an hour, this one, with an I-like meta-converter protection. And here's what you have. So we have heart rate variability. Okay, again, you have left and right, before, after. This, at the bottom here, it tells you, oh, I'm missing something here now. So it tells you, this is what I was telling you on, if you look at the right-hand side, remember I told you about the ability of the body to capture energy from the outside world, the ability to store it. Look at the difference here. There's almost nothing on the right side, and it's a large band on the left side and a large band on the right side. This one gives you the state of the endocrine system and the central nervous system. Red, if you go into anything technical, you find that red is not so good in general when you read the state of something. Okay? So this is what it gives you. This is the type of measurement you get from this instrument. If we can go on a bit, I think that's fine. Next one. So if we can click on there to get the list of what happens with converter advantages. Again, this is a list of the advantages we get with converters. Boost memory capacity, decrease reaction times, so you become more effective at work. Correct decisions are made more often. This was actually tested on people over a period of time, and they made more correct decisions with this. The health is indirectly stimulated and stress is reduced. So people got on even much better after that. Okay, we can do the next one. So let's look at a few of these converters and see what they actually do. We can talk about the ESmog converter, the iChip converter, the room converter, and the car converter. If we can go on to the next one. So this is what we do here. If we want to talk about what we're doing, for instance, we're talking about well-being in the home, ESmog regulation, sleep repair, improved concentration. We can do that with a room converter. And the room converter is at the bottom. That's more, and it actually works in industrial settings. Okay? If you're talking about outside the home, if you're in shop, in town, and so on, you have the sinus body. Actually, I've got one on me right now. It's one of these. It's on the side, and it's the smallest pulsed magnetic field in the world. The smallest one. And it will actually give you the Schumann frequency all the time. It's actually giving me 8 hertz, 7.83, 8 hertz all day while I'm wearing this. Nice. Okay? And it protects you as well at the same time. For your well-being and security and when on the move, thanks to ESmog, that's where you use what you call the I like ESmog converter. That's that little, it's a little thing that you put on the back of your phone. Yeah? The thing with the gold band across it. When you're on the road in your vehicle, when you want concentration, sharpness, and so on, you use the car converter. That's the top here. It comes in 3 pieces. Okay? This is what we've got. There's a little diagram that says now the navigation systems, we're talking about GPS, it's around 60 gigahertz. That should ring a bell for some people, actually. It's not a good, it's pretty high. Okay? If you can go to the next one. Yeah, the next slide. Here we go. It's just to show you what's happening here. This is showing you the phone with the ESmog converter on it. You need to have the phone within 30 meters. 30 centimeters. You can stick it straight on the phone. That's the best way. Stick on the back of the phone, you know you have it. And this will actually give you the 3 meters. 1.5 meters protection with 3 meters diameter. Up, down, across, and so on and so forth. Okay? If we can go to the next one. This is what I was telling you about. It's much clearer, this one. Where at the same time this was being done, a double-blind study where we had 67 people tested. Yeah? And if you look at the left-hand side, it shows you at the top what the body index, your health index is, 39%. And within 20 minutes, the same 20 minutes we're talking about when we're testing people, it goes to 68. It doesn't mean that it will double if you do another 20 meters. It's just at the first 20 minutes, this is what you got. And it's the same with the brain. You see the brain, what it looks like without and with. On the bottom, what you've got is showing the age, the average age of the people was 46. That won't change. That's the same. And you'll find that the biological age was 49. And on the bottom, on the right-hand side, it's 40 years of age. Okay. And this was actually tested at the campus of, actually the health campus. So Campus de la Santé. That's Université de Saint-Elizabeth, the St. Elizabeth University. That was tested there. It says, with the support of the data obtained from the manufacturer, that's us, one can deduce from the preliminary results an optimization in health thanks to the use of the converter. So in summary, from the pilot study results, this looks very promising, and a deeper study of the I-like converter should be undertaken from a health viewpoint. as to demonstrate an improvement in resilience. And that is important. Improve resilience. That's what we're talking about. Okay, if we can go to the next one. We also had someone who's called Gunther Hafelder. Gunther Hafelder was well known. That's the late Gunther Hafelder. And he created an institute for brain research and communication. And what happened was he tested a lot of people who had these things, and they were often deceiving. And someone insisted to test I like, and he did. And he went searching for I like to tell them the positive results that they had. Okay, and that is a testimony in itself. Okay.
So this scientist came across your technology, what you're talking about today, and his own test, without coming to you first, established that there were positive results, and actually sought you all out to give you this verified.
Absolutely,
evidence.
He went to one of the meetings, and people recognized him because he's a well-known person in Germany, Stuttgart. He created this institute. And everyone was wondering why he was there. So they went to him and asked him what he was doing. So he told them what they were doing and told them what the results they found. That's the late
Wow.
one. He died now, actually. He's not from ESmog, I hope. But he's dead now. But this is what he found.
Interesting.
Okay? And he was one of the people who actually got this system of measuring EEG, pushing this to a good level, EEG by mass spectrometry. One of the specialists. Okay. And also we had a test by a company called GDV, and they use something that's called, if you've never heard of it, it's probably worth looking at, the Kirlian method, where you actually use light to measure people's aura. So what this person trains experts in measuring, and they were surprised. They tested 5 manufacturers. One of them was us. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see a diagram that says, they show the 5. Actually, I wanted to take out the names because my idea is not to knock the others, it's to show what we do. And if you look at, we have a baseline, which means you get rid of electrosmog. Not only did we get to the baseline, we actually improved it. And this was tested by GDV, and they gave that information. And it surprised the experts.
It's like going the extra mile, isn't it? Not only can we take it away, but we'll boost up instead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. If we can go to the next one. Okay, just to give you an idea of what we have, because we don't have much time left. We got with a room converter. So it's for vitalization of rooms, apartments, detached houses, office buildings, and companies. This is one of the industrial things that we have. That's the top of the line we have. If we can go on. I had a diagram of the room converter. We've just changed it. We've upgraded it, and it's coming out in a couple of weeks or so, the new one. And I will send information to you actually about this when it comes in, and you'll see it. Okay. Now, this is important here, how users react. We're talking about people who are sensitive or not sensitive, people who say they're not sensitive. They tested the 3 groups. For the not sensitive, they didn't feel anything or almost anything, but it was tested over a period of time. But everyone noticed that they had better performance and their sleep was better. The second set, sensitive, just sensitive, not hypersensitive, they felt a relief straight away. And again, their sleep was better. For the hypersensitive, where they get upset straight away, this is about the copy you're telling me about. Sometimes it can take 1 to 3 months to get, not everyone reacts straight away. You know, our biology is different. But they got better as well. But the important thing is our motto in the company is to help a person to help themselves. We do not heal you. We give you the possibility of boosting your resilience. And that is the important message here.
Every home's different, isn't it? You don't know what the big picture is outside the house, or what's leaking in, what the strength or quality of the gadgets they've got. You just don't know, do you? So every person's got a different profile.
And this is what I love about Ken's this technology, is that it doesn't just come in one area. It is, you know, your car, your house, your body, your office. You know, it's actually it's a technology that has a holistic approach. It's not just focusing on one area or aspect.
Okay, so now we've got the car ESmog converter here. It said frequency regulation for cars of all kinds, lorries, so on, camper vans. We can put them in there. The interesting thing about that, you can actually have, if you have a bus, one of those large buses, you can actually put 2 of these systems in there. So you can actually cover everyone that's in it. So you cover everyone with ESmog who's traveling with you. You can put them in aeroplanes as well if you wanted to do that as well, for as many as you need. Okay, we put that in. And this is just to show you how it's actually put. The red one is actually next to the driver. Obviously, it's not in the UK. This is the driver's on the left-hand side. So there we go. Yeah. Okay. And so it gives you balance and everything. And just to show you some more applications using converters, we also have water. That's important that these here that you see here, they don't need, the 3 first ones, they don't need an impulse from a phone. You just put, if you have let's say you have a bottle of water, you can stick it on the bottle of water, or you can use it, leave it in the thing and leave it 30 centimeters away, and we actually restructure the water.
Love it.
Have you ever heard of Luc Montagnier? If you look at Luc Montagnier's presentation of water having a memory, then people can realize, people say, that's rubbish. Yeah, but take a look at laureate who actually won the Nobel Prize, and he tells you how you can pass information. Animals as well. We've got one for an animal. You can put it on the lead and put that on there, and it calms them down. A lot of people have come back with that. And the food one, it keeps your food fresher for a longer period, and it just sends the information into there. You can actually put it into a fruit basket or bread basket, or you could put it in the fridge.
Back to the animal one, I'd be very surprised if you could calm down a cockapoo.
I would love,
because they're so hyperactive. But anyway, we get your point. It's fine. just cracking jokes.
Yeah, but so it might be interesting though to see. I doubt it. they are good. And then you've got the last one, the iChip converter. That's important. That needs an impulse. So you put that on your phone with your ESmog converter. The ESmog converter takes care of protecting you for a distance. The iChip converter, it actually got the information that you need to combat certain things that are help to combat certain things that are hitting you, certain viral things that come and hit you. Okay. You know, all diseases, they have a frequency, they have that information that comes in.
So just a quick question then. I like chip, which you're showing here, is different to the other body one that you showed us 2 or 3 slides back. Is that right?
Are you talking about this one?
Yes, that's different, isn't it?
That is different. That's different. That's actually giving you the Schumann frequency. The other ones, they're actually, you put on your phone, the ESmog converter. We've seen that one. That one you just keep it in the packet and keep it 30 centimeters away, and we'll inform the water and restructure the water. So whenever you drink it, all the nonsense will go out, but you retain what's good for the water. That actually goes with, have you heard of Emoto?
Can I suggest him? Yeah.
Actually, we're actually certified by his organization.
I noticed he's on your website. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we're certified by him for that as well.
Awesome.
And then the iChip converter here, this is the one that actually helps against things viral, help to your resilience with that. You need a impulse on that one. So often we put that on the phone. In fact, the ESmog converter and the iChip converter together, that's a very good solution for carrying it with your phone. You keep your phone with you. You can actually put it under your pillow at night if you like. We're saying to you, switch off your phones at night. We're now saying to you, you can use that because that helps you. Remember the graph rate went above and said they're even better off with the phone on. That's it.
Awesome. Very good.
Okay. And then it just gives a list here of the different things. The water converter vitalizes water, make it similar to spring water. What we've done with that one, we've actually taken 12 of the best waters in the world, given it the information, so it actually gives the information to the water that you're actually going to drink. Transfers that information to it. The animal converter to make the animals calmer. A lot of people have reported their cats, especially in that, and dogs have actually been calmer. The food converter, it just activates the food to make it alive again for the time it will stay, and you can get the taste. One of the best tests for testing the food converter is if you use balsamic vinegar, you take a little, put it in there, put one about 5 meters away, and then test it after 10 minutes and see the difference.
Mm.
That's a good thing when you get one of these.
What do you mean? Can you just say that again?
What you do is
Test
you get balsamic vinegar. You put some in one container and you put the converter next to it. You take another one, you put it on the other side of the house somewhere, and then come back for 10, 15 minutes and taste the difference.
It changes the taste. Interesting.
Yes, it changes that. Even wine that's sort of gone off, you put it there too, and you try that, and it works pretty well.
Nice.
Just to give you an idea.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Shall we move
I think
on?
that was the last slide, more or less. Yeah, if we can go on. Yeah, that's what we've got. So we've got a team actually that works with us. We've got people covering Scotland, West Yorkshire, Birmingham, Oxford, Reading, London, and Kent. I've just brought this into the country a few months ago, but I've been a user of this technology for over 3 years.
And I noticed your website, which is scrolling down below, has a /en at the end. But I notice here you can do DE for German and FR
absolutely
for
German
French.
and French. Absolutely. Okay. So if what you've got my website there, but actually we've got a team, and if people wanted to work with people close to them, they can actually send information to me, info@livesenriched.com, and I can actually direct them for that.
Awesome.
Just to make it clear, it's info@lives-enriched.com for our podcast.
Absolutely, hyphen enriched.com. Absolutely.
Well,
okay. I hope that information has been good for you. If you have any questions, just ask me about that.
Well,
sorry, Robin.
I've often wondered, were there any gadgets and gizmos out there that could help deflect or just block the 5G frequencies, because those frickin' street lamps are all over my street, all the way up around in Bristol, and I've checked the availability of 5G, and it's been on for just about a year now in different locations, getting closer and closer to my house. There's one about 1.5 miles away, and I took my three different type of meter along there, and it spiked at way over 60 gigahertz. It was about 110. It spiked. I was just sat there and it spiked way over, just a pulse. It just went pow like that. And I thought, goodness me, if I worked or lived around here, like in the first story houses, right in line, the first story flats in line with that one mast that's by the bus stop, or if I needed to be there for a consistent period of time, that's not good news. There's a Tesco, there's a supermarket there, there's laundry, there's all sorts of services in and around that mast. And what broke my heart was some friends of mine who I used to work with just up the road in an office has had a mast put on top of their office. It made me weep. So
we're talking power and frequency then.
Yeah.
In that case.
So in other words, I'll be more than happy to share this video with them, or just share the website just to say you might want to look at this. Yeah.
Just some out of interest, just a bit more information for everyone who's been talking about 5G and say it's going to fry us. It's going to fry us, but in a different way. If you look at the mast and the way high up, it's not the power you have to worry about, but it's all those frequencies that are actually bringing toxic information. It's the frequencies.
Yeah.
But if you've got one next to a flat where you're living, yes, that can affect you quite a lot. And do I have a couple of minutes to say something else as well?
By all means.
During COVID, I remember I went to Reading, so there weren't many trains and that, and I had my meter with me, and I thought, let me see what's happening here. There was one train when I was sitting there, and it was like four platforms away. And I pointed it to it, and it was way in the middle, way above what we should be reading for anyone's body. And all of a sudden, it just went way off scale. And I looked around to see I couldn't see anything. But about 30 seconds later, I saw a train pull in. And it stayed like that. And then all of a sudden, it went off to the level that it was at. It was staying at that level in the middle.
Interesting.
Now, all of a sudden, it went off again. And nothing was moving. All of a sudden, it went off. And about another 30 seconds later, it went back to the middle, which was a high level anyway. And that was just one train, then two trains. Imagine every day people traveling with that. And people wonder why people are so upset, nervous, even inside the trains and so on and so forth. It does affect you. And something else that it affects you with, it's the oxygen that's getting to your organs. It affects your red blood cells because your red blood cells contain iron. And the role of the iron is actually to get oxygen to your different organs. Now, EMF acts like a magnet, so it's actually been pulled off there. So you're not getting enough oxygen to the organs. And that includes your brain. It includes everything like that. And that's bad. And the third one is there's a thing that's called the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is actually, we're not doing a biology class, but there's the fiber within fibrous tissue with your brain that connects both your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere together. And it has to have communications between the two. Otherwise, your perception of seeing something would be so different from both sides. And it actually EMF saturates your corpus callosum in 20 minutes. And in order to clean it, if you wanted to clean it completely, it would take you 4 hours totally outside of an EMF environment. When it's saturated, it doesn't mean that you can't think. It just means that you're not thinking as clearly as you can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to give you an idea. There's lots more, but that's not what it's for today. It's just to
this is really informative, really power packed, very empowering, which is what this whole Freedom Files series of podcasts is all about. So we appreciate you bringing the information, and thanks, Simone, for inviting Ken on. It's been a fascinating presentation. We thank everyone who's watching in the premiere of this podcast, which we scheduled. And if you're listening on audio, then by all means, email Ken. Let's add Ken's email again, info@lives-enriched.com, or email me, and I'll email you the presentation if that's okay, Ken. Robin,
we need to make it to a PDF. Yeah.
A PDF, so we can PDF that and send it off to you. So Robin, 3108@hotmail.com, and I can email that to you in a PDF form.
One thing you might get a lot of questions to, Ken, is what kind of outlay would somebody be looking at? You know, what kind of range are we looking at for your products?
For your personal protection on your phone, it's 3 times. It's for instance, an ESmog converter will cost you like 40 euros, 39 something euros. That's what you'll pay for that. So something like that you put on. Oh yes, just to let you know, for the ESmog converter and the iChip converter, both of those converters, even though our technology lasts 30 years, we suggest that you change them every 3 years. And the reason for that is because frequencies change and the information changes. So we suggest that you can actually get one 3 years later and put it back because you've got the latest information in it. Okay, but the industrial, we can go to the industrial part, which can actually go over like 2,000 euros. It's all in euros at the moment, 2,000 euros, but you're protecting a whole house, or you're protecting a building, you're protecting your people.
There's the water one, no?
Yeah, there you go.
That's really affordable if you're looking at that sort of thing. The one I'd be interested in is the room desmog and the water one.
Yeah, okay. When we get off here, please, let's have a chat. Yes?
No problem.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ken. We're so grateful. I think that in a time where there's a lot of uncertainty and so many things at play, giving people an opportunity to choose wisely, to choose the right decisions for them is so important. But there's just it doesn't seem like many people with solutions are coming forward. So we're grateful that you have.
Thank you very much. I think it's very important. And we have to think about anyone who's got children with mobile phones, get some of this on the phone, protect them especially. We all need protection. Yeah. Okay.
Well, on that positive note, we'll just thank you for your time once again, Ken. Thanks everyone who's been listening. Until this time when we do the next episode, Ken, it's been a pleasure. Take good care of yourself.
It's been a pleasure for me. Thanks a lot.
Let's stay in touch.
Right. Take care. Bye-bye.